How many businesses have announced closings and layoffs since Obama won a second term? An exclusive story on The Blaze. Energizer, St. Louis, said yesterday they expect to shed about 1,500 employees. Westinghouse, contractor responsible for shutting down Anderson's chemical weapons incinerator, has reduced its workforce by 50 employees. These were just announced in the last 2 days, by the way. Research in Motion Limited, maker of BlackBerry smartphones, laid off 200 people on Wednesday. Lightyear Network Solutions, more than a dozen employees at Pikeville Company. They lost their job this week. Providence Journal Company laid off 23 full-time workers. Hawker Beechcraft, don't worry, it's just airplanes, leaving off now 240 employees. Boeing is firing 30% of their management staff. CVPH Medical Center has handed pink slips to 17 employees. They say they're just, they're no longer welcome because of the financial position the medical center is in. U.S. Cellular is going to cut almost 1,000 jobs, 980 jobs, with 640 in the Chicago area. Momentum Performance Materials, 150 workers. I feel like I'm doing snow closings. And looks like we have Sister Mother Teresa going to be an hour and a half late. 150 workers at Sisterville's Momentum Performance Materials plant are going to be laid off. Rocketdyne is letting go 100 employees at Pratt & Whitney. But don't worry, Pratt & Whitney, just airplanes. Brake Parts, the leader of an automotive parts plant in Lincoln County, has told state officials they plan to lay off 75 workers. Vesta Wind Systems is just laying off 3,000 people.
Wow.
Husqvarna cutting 600 jobs. Center for Hospice in New York cutting 40 jobs. Bristol Myers. By the way, these are all job cut announcements from the last 2 days.
And interestingly, just after the election.
Bristol Myers Squibbs are now going to lay off 480 people. OCE, North America, laying off 135 in Connecticut. Darden Restaurants, which received an Obamacare waiver in the past, is now looking to limit workers to 28 hours a week, which, strangely, is exactly the number of hours that one would have to work before getting Obamacare. If you work 29 hours, you get Obamacare. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but it's no longer a 40-hour work week as full-time now that Obamacare is in. Oh, and John Boehner says Obamacare is the law of the land. John Boehner, you're a waste of skin, brother.
Well, he's right. It is. I mean, if you didn't want Obamacare, you should have freaking voted.
Yeah, well,
everybody out there, because there's millions of people less that voted for Mitt Romney than John McCain. So stop bitching. Stop bitching about it.
But if he had balls, he would defund it. But he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Defund it, yeah. I love that. But, I mean, it is the law of the land.
No. It's the law of the land. Good. Defund it. If you've got any kind of conviction.
He's not a guy of conviction.
He's not.
He's not a good guy.
He's not.
He might be the nicest, weepiest crybaby in the world. I don't know. We might all get together and sing Kumbaya and hold hands and talk and tell stories about how life is hard or life is great or whatever. And he might have a doll collection that somebody else has the same doll collection. I don't know. But he is not a conservative. He is not a guy who is on the side of the Constitution. He is on the side of the GOP, and that's it. That's all he is.
Yeah, it's not about if he's a good guy or not. I'm sure he's a fine guy.
I'm sure he's a fine guy.
It's just a matter of, you're right.
I'm sure his doll collection is kept right there on a shelf with his balls.
We were talking about this on the Real News last night, and that's the one thing that, like, Boehner at times holds the line on certain issues, and he doesn't on other times. But has John Boehner ever convinced anyone of anything? Has anyone ever walked away from saying...
Yes. I'm convinced he's ballless. I'm convinced that he is nothing but a GOP shill. He's convinced me. I've walked away convinced.
That's good. So he has done that.
He's done that.
We got that going.
Are you
for
convinced?
Us.
Have you ever walked away?
Absolutely
yes,
convinced.
You're convinced. Jeffy, are you convinced the man has no balls?
100%.
He's a girl. That's what he is.
100%.
He's a girl.
Shockingly, we didn't get into that on the Real News last night.
Should have. You probably should have.
There was no ballless talk on the Real News last night.
I don't know where he keeps them, but they ain't in his pants.
Well, that's just, I mean, that
I
doesn't
don't know
mean-
where he's keeping his spine. I don't know how he stands straight. That's the investigative reporting that the Blaze should do.
Well,
how does the man
yeah.
stand without a spine?
He doesn't. I usually see him sitting, so maybe he doesn't have one. He was sitting for the Diane Sawyer interview when he talked about that.
You would repeal the health care vote. That's still your mission?
Well, I think the election changes that. It's pretty clear that the president was reelected. Obamacare is the law of the land.
There you
Why
go.
did we just? Well, geez, why don't you just put a D after your name? We don't need. We should just all have one party. We should have a one-party system. Why do we need the two? The election decided it. Why did we even go out? We shouldn't have even voted. We should just have all the Democrats go in because there's no disagreement. If we're 2 million people apart out of 350 million people, if we're 2 million people apart, just everybody goes for the majority. Why worry about the minority?
Think about how much easier it would be.
This is the minority leader. This is the minority leader saying we just got to go for the majority.
Actually, in his
he's not
branch, he's majority, and he's not acting like it. Never has.
Okay, so Darden restaurants now. Your official work week is now 28 hours. I don't know if you know that, but in healthcare, in the healthcare reform bill, it is no longer a 40-hour work week. That's not full time anymore. If you think your employer is going to be able to withstand the cost and the assault on doing business, you're mistaken. And that's why I've got a list of 5 pages of companies in the last 2 days since the election said we can't do it anymore. We're closing. Because one of the laws is now your full-time work week is 28 hours. And you are going to start seeing 28 hours.
I think it's technically 30, right? But people are cutting it to 28 because
you don't want to get close.
If you don't even want to cut it to 29 because if you go 15 minutes over a couple days, then it gets to 30 and then you're in trouble.
Westridge Mine, in a statement, Utah American Energy blames Obama administration for instituting policies that will close down 204 American coal-fired power plants by 2014. So there will not be a market for coal. By the way, I'm not even going to go there. United Blood Services, Gulf, they are laying off 10% of their workforce. And these are just the rest of the, real quick, other companies that have announced in the last 2 days they're laying people off. Caterpillar is going to close an entire plant in Minnesota.
Wasn't Caterpillar one of the ones?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There with the president talking about how wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Mount Pleasant's Albrecht Century Foods, Target Store, Manassas, Millennium Academy in North Carolina, Target closing in Kissimmee, Florida, Hanover Gift Shop, the Grand Union Family Markets closing locations in Connecticut, Movie Scene, Milford. Let's see, the Greensboro plant, 620 people for TE connectivity. Gomer's Fried Chicken, Kmart in Homer Glen, Fresh Market in Pine Street, Burlington. Tennessee has AGC Glass going out. Target store in Platte and Colorado Springs. The Roses store, Reynolds Road in Winston-Salem. Meander's Kitchen in West Seattle and in California. Harley Davidson in Westville, in West Nashville. Townsend Booksellers in Oakland, and Kmart store in North Carolina. We're keeping a list of all of the places that are laying workers off. These are just the ones that one reporter for The Blaze gathered. These are the ones that were just announced since the election.
And that's not something you come up with, hey, the election, you know what, let's fire people. This is something you're thinking in advance. Yeah. If this guy wins, we're cutting the cord.
Well, I tell you, this company, is about to make major changes. I have done not only the shows, but I have been meeting with our executives in our company. How do we survive? What do we have to do? How do we change? I mean, last night, I gave a speech for a fundraiser for Israel. I get home, and I have a meeting last night on healthcare, on what we're going to do for healthcare. It's 10 o'clock at night. Every single company is doing that. Every single company is doing that. Your changes, elections have consequences. And for anybody who didn't vote, anybody who was like, you know what, I don't think there's a difference, and apparently there's a lot of them. Elections have consequences. And your life is going to change. And everybody's, whatever. I'm fine. I'm cool. I know me. I know you, the audience. And we're going to get through it.